Welcome, everyone. We are still seeing a few people join, but we will start in just a moment. Okay, we're up to 40. I think I'm going to start if everyone's ready. Welcome. Thank you for joining today. I am Amanda Gardner. I am the new executive director of UN Global Compact Network USA, and I joined the Global Compact Network USA in June. So it's been 6 months, and it's been an incredible journey so far. I thought I would start today just by introducing myself, telling you a little bit about my background. I've been working in responsible business for over 2 decades. I started in Europe, working in nonprofit consulting, working with CEOs who really wanted to operate more sustainably in emerging markets. I did that for a few years and moved back to the USA in 2009 to set up and run a UN initiative, actually, called the Business Call to Action for UNDP. And then after a few years doing that, I moved into the private sector, and I've been there almost ever since, until June, that is. I led sustainability in Pearson, at Verizon, and most recently I was at Meta leading ESG. I am thrilled to be in this role because in many ways it feels a lot like returning to my roots and coming home. The first part of my career was centered on global development and helping companies align with what essentially became the SDGs, including getting my own CEO directly engaged in their development. So it's coming home in many ways. And as we head toward 2030, I'm also excited about getting companies that into that final push toward the SDGs. There's a lot we can still do to help companies meaningfully contribute to the agenda, and there's a lot we can do to help companies think about what the next generation of the agenda is going to look like, what many might think of as SDGs 2.0. So there's a lot of possibility there. I'm also acutely aware that I'm joining at a time when sustainable business is undergoing a major transformation in the world. Geopolitical complexity, evolving regulations, rising stakeholder expectations, all of that. And the Global Compact at this time is also celebrating its 25th anniversary. It was founded 25 years ago. So it's just an incredible moment to be able to join and to contribute shaping the next 25 years of an incredible organization. So my last few months have been focused on learning, focused on getting to know the team, getting to know all of our participants and stakeholders. And we have an incredible board as well, many of whom are here today. And you'll get to hear from them in just a moment. And of course, we also have a really awesome team, and it's just been a real privilege to work with all of them and all of you. I'm looking forward to the possibilities in 2026 and to all that we can accomplish together. So, we are very excited today to share a little bit more about Network USA with you. Just as a procedural note, there will be a Q&A at the end. So if you have a question, please do submit it in the Q&A box, which is found at the bottom of your screen. So just a note, not the chat box, it's the Q&A box. So I'm going to ask the team to put up the slides if we can, starting with slide 2. Thank you. It's still coming up. There it is. Okay. Thank you so much. So the network is, for those of you who aren't as familiar, an independent 501(c)(3. And we're under a memorandum of understanding with the United Nations to represent the UN Global Compact in the United States. We are the US chapter, so to speak, of the United Nations Global Compact. And the UN Global Compact, as you probably know already, is the largest corporate sustainability initiative in the world. So we represent and work with the US companies that are part of that. We're governed by those companies who are participants, as represented by some of our board who are here and our fuller board composition. And those board members are senior executives from signatories of the UN Global Compact principles. This governance webinar is intended to kind of provide visibility, let's say, into our operations for US participants, but also provide an opportunity for you to ask questions and give us feedback. So next slide, I will walk you through the agenda. Simple today, introduction to the board members who are with us and even those who are not with us. 2025 milestones that we accomplished, governance around the network, some of our programming. We'll get into our financials, and finally, we will open it up so you can ask us questions, and we encourage those. With that, I am going to hand it over to Anne Tracy, our chair. Anne, over to you.
Sorry, I had to get off mute. Thank you so much, Amanda. I'm very pleased to be with you all here today on a Friday. And of course, as the current chair of the board of directors, I can't say enough around the diversity that we have across our board, and really pleased to work with true experts, hoping to deliver and design the strategy for the future for you. And we are always here to listen to any feedback you have, so feel free. We have a virtual open door. Feel free to reach out to us. So let's introduce you to the board. If you can go to the next slide, please. You'll be hearing from our board officers today, so I'm kicking it off now. You're going to hear from Gail Schuler, the Chief Sustainability Officer of 3M. She's going to talk to you about our latest in strategy and programming. Shobha Mira of Capgemini is our treasurer and chairs our finance committee, so she'll give you an update there. And then Jennifer Leitch, who is at EY, longtime expert in sustainability, is our secretary and head of Nom and Gov, and she will also give you an update. So you'll hear from the executive committee today. And if you go to the next slide, you can see our full board. Again, very pleased. I'm not going to go through every name. I'll give you a minute to scan, but incredible group, diverse, as well as a broad representative of different industry sectors, which makes it very interesting. And we have a full board right now. We work really well together. And again, I want to emphasize that we're here to hear from you if you want to give us any direct feedback. I do want to welcome in particular Josh Parker of NVIDIA and Catherine Pickus of ADM, who are our newest board members, just joining us earlier this year. So going to the next slide, looking at our milestones this year, one of them is to set a roadmap for the future. Again, Amanda already introduced herself. She joined us earlier this year, and we couldn't be more pleased to have her at the helm. And in the meantime, Rick who's also on the call, has done a terrific job of leading us in the interim. And we're very excited and optimistic about the future of Network USA. Earlier this year, with approval from Secretary General Antonio Guterres, the overall UN Global Compact launched its 2030 strategy, highlighting 3 key shifts: creating a more digitally enabled learning for companies. So that's very exciting. Catalyzing collective action on climate, decent work, gender equality, and sustainable finance, and strengthening the evidence base to deliver credible and measurable results. So this is exciting. We're also excited about our participants, the growth in our participants. We added 158 new participants this year, and our network continues to represent close to 20% of US GDP. So thank you for your contribution and your membership. If you want to go to the next slide. We are also highlighting some really great milestones in 2025 under Amanda's leadership with an incredibly talented team that she leads. We've developed new and creative ways to strengthen the community, fun ways like trivia nights, and some industry-specific events, as well as our celebrating the 25th anniversary of the United Nations Global Compact. As well, the team has led the way to publish some thought leadership, particularly around sustainable finance. You can find that on our website if you're interested in digging deeper. And this builds on some strong thought leadership around water stewardship and more to come in the future. And finally, we had our annual summit this year during Climate Week in Unga, and we were pleased to report that it was the largest attendance ever, again, with some terrific programming, and we hope to build on that in the future. So finally, just to cap it off with some numbers for you before I hand it over to Jennifer. As I mentioned just a minute ago, we added 158 new participants, and that brings our total to the USA Network to over 1,100 participants. And of course, it's natural that every year there is some increase and decrease, but we're still leading the way as one of the largest networks. And out of these participants, 54% are corporations, 33% are small to medium-sized enterprises, and the remaining share consists of non-business entities, a few that are such as associations and NGOs. Again, if you have any questions about this, we'll open that up at the end. So over to Jennifer.
Great, thanks very much, Anne, and welcome everyone. I wanted to share a little bit about our governance structure today. So if you're not aware, Network USA was initiated in 2007 by a steering committee and formally became a 501c3 organization with our own board of directors in 2014. As was mentioned earlier, we operate under an annual MOU with the UN Global Compact representing Network USA. Our nominating and governance committee plays a vital role in ensuring strong and effective board leadership. Our responsibilities include establishing policies and processes that support efficient governance, reviewing our corporate bylaws and key governance documents annually, maintaining a strong pipeline of candidates for new board members and planning for succession, recommending nominees for board elections and re-elections, and upholding our fiduciary responsibilities to protect the organization's integrity and mission. If we flip to the next slide, again, you can see the committees of the board. You saw the full list of board members earlier. You can see here how we're all supporting the organization through various committees. Again, the Finance Committee led by Shobha. I lead Nominating and Governance, and Gail leads our Strategy and Programs Committee. We flip to the next slide. As we heard earlier, we were so thrilled to welcome two new board members this year, Josh Parker and Catherine Pickus. When we select new board members, we consider several factors: needed skill sets, diversity of industries represented, individual backgrounds, and geographic representation. After careful consideration, interviews, calls for comments, and a review by the UN Global Compact's integrity team, candidates are then approved by a board vote. During the process of recruiting Josh and Catherine, we also built a strong pipeline of potential future board members. And of course, we continue to welcome additional nominations and recommendations, which can be sent to us via email, info@globalcompactusa.org. I'll go ahead and turn the floor over to Gail.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'll just share a quick reminder that if you would like to ask any questions, feel free to list them in the Q&A, and we'll be happy to answer them at that time. So thanks, Jennifer. As part of the Network USA offerings, we're designed to complement the UN Global Compact global offerings with a focus that's specifically relevant to you, our United States marketplace. As Anne mentioned, our goal is to support companies at every stage of their sustainability journey. This year, We created spaces and content that were intended to help sustainability teams guide their companies toward long-term resilience, operational efficiency, and stronger employee and customer engagement. Our offerings include accelerator programs and peer group learning groups, thought leadership, in-person events, and webinars. Our high-touch multi-month accelerator programs work closely with a similar group of companies to offer meaningful and lasting change. Our peer learning groups give participants space to discuss real challenges and opportunities, which are especially important during today's rapidly changing environment and landscape. We also hosted more in-person events than ever before, both here in the United States and internationally. These include our flagship program, the 2025 Annual Summit, that is conducted in New York City in conjunction with the UN General Assembly. We also produced a series of webinars in 2025. The recordings of these webinars are available on the website. This year, we released our third thought leadership piece. This one was focused on sustainable finance, and that was launched at Greenbridge in early 2025. As we look forward into 2026, we have a variety of planned offerings ahead that are aimed at, again, helping groups at every level of their sustainability journey. We aim to build on the success of the programming that we've offered this year and learn from what the feedback you've provided. We're also developing new ideas going forward. So we're excited to launch specifically a new CLE. This is a learning course that gives in-house counsel, legal counsel, and compliance teams the tools that they need to manage and address anti-corruption risks and promote ethical business practices aligned with UN Global Compact's principles. Other new include our course on greenwashing and new resources for small and medium-sized enterprises. For more information or inquiries on any of these offerings, visit our website. It's at www.globalcompactusa.org, or reach out to our programming team. We're happy here to assist you with any questions about these opportunities. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Shobha for an update on the network financials.
Thank you, Gail, and a very warm hello to all our members of the call. As we approach the end of the year, I am happy to report that the network financials are healthy. This allows us to meaningfully serve our participating members. Through our prudent investments and financial management over the last few years, we are in a position where, including our cash in hand and our short-term and long-term reserve investments, we have sufficient funds to support our programming and operations costs and continue to build on our strong foundation. This year, we transitioned from a part-time finance consultant managing our books to a full-service finance, accounting, and human resources management firm, I should say. This transition helped us reconcile our accounts and establish clearer policies and procedures to improve our invoicing and collection processes. This has also helped us update our financial accounting to reflect GAAP best practices. We are pleased to share that our 2024 financial audit is successfully complete, and now it's available on our website, www.globalcompactusa.org. I'll give you a quick overview of the results of that audit on the next slide. Thank you for that. The numbers you see here reflect our latest audited and publicly available information. I will offer a few comments to help you appreciate the picture better. You'll note that our assets were somewhat less year over year between 2024 and 2023, and our liabilities were greater. So let me unpack this a little. Every year, we invoice U.S. companies on behalf of the UN Global Compact, and our books include a sizable portion we use to support both our local and our global operations. In 2024, over half of our income was distributed to the UN Global Compact Foundation in the year. And this you see reflected as the largest figure in our liabilities section. In addition to that, in addition to our share paid to the UNGC Foundation, our increased liabilities were due to an expansion of staff and increased programming and engagement opportunities that Gail talked about, all of which we believe are essential to providing real value to our members and our participants. So after the distributions to the UN Global Compact and our operational expenses, we ended the year with a positive net to support the work that we do for our members. As I mentioned earlier, during the current year, we've improved our invoicing and our collections process, and as a result, we project a notably larger income level this year, that is in 2025. We are confident that our financial position will remain strong as we go forward, and we will remain vigilant to ensure that we stay on course to continue creating value for all of you, that is our members. With that, I will turn it back to Anne and Amanda.
Thanks, Shobha. I'm happy to run Q&A, but just say we want to thank all of you for your continued support of Network USA, for your engagement, for your continued commitment to our shared vision. And thanks again for your time and dedication to the principles and the goals of the UN Global Compact. We're really looking forward to 2026 and to your partnership, and we are happy to answer any questions. If you would like to ask a question, you need to push on the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen and enter the question there. At the moment, we have no questions, but I will leave it open for another minute or so to see if we get any come in. If you don't have questions, we're going to wrap there. We're getting one question. We have a question about products or services.
There's
two questions. First is whether we have a product or service offering that can help companies in these areas. You'll have to give me a little bit more about which areas, if you don't mind clarifying in the Q&A. And then you also asked, how can we market it or talk to people? I am not clear. You'll have to provide some more context for those questions. I'm not sure in what context you're asking them. So if you could provide a little bit more context, I'm happy to come back to your question. In the meantime, I want to go on to another question. Are there any personal highlights from the UN Global Compact from each of you that you're proud of this year? I'm happy to go last, which will be hardest because you'll all pick all the great ones, and then I'll go last. But
well,
Anne, do you want to start?
I'll start, and I think that's a terrific question, whoever asked that. There are a number of things. I honestly would say the highlight this year was establishing leadership and the growth of our team to support you. So bringing Amanda on board, it was a long and very detailed process to make sure we had the right leader for the future. So that's one big thing that I think we should be proud of. And the team she's leading, who's doing a terrific job, it's an incredibly talented, I would say, younger team that's bringing a lot of energy to the table. I'm happy to engage with you, and they're driving some really terrific programming, engaging with companies directly, and a lot of thought leadership. I would really encourage you to go to our website, the UNGC Network USA website, and you'll find a wealth of information there for all companies. So I kind of covered all bases, but I'll let some of my board companions also comment. But we continue to break records. I think what you'll hear more about in the future is our strategy that we're building, and really with a focus on bringing value to all companies. So I'll be quiet and hand it to some of the others to chime in.
Go ahead, Anne. And I think Amanda was wise, to go last. She can hear everybody, but she was right that, when you go earlier, you can catch the low hanging fruit. So I definitely agree. Having our new executive director, Amanda Gardner, step into the role is a big deal for us. It's a transitional time for the UN Global Compact Network USA at a critically transitional time for the United States. I'm also proud of how the programming group within the Network USA really adapted to the changing external landscape. There were certain plans that we had in place, and the world changed a lot this year. And I'm really pleased with how that, I would say, small but mighty and high energy team really stepped forward and made a big difference in that space. And notably within that, I would say the annual meeting at the week of the UN General Assembly is a great event. If you haven't participated in that before, please do so. And for the questions of somebody who had things that they might want to market or services, coming up to those in-person meetings, while it's not intended to be a sales opportunity, there's certainly some fantastic people there who are interested in solutions in the space.
Yeah, Gail, you
Yeah.
really stole one of my highlights for the year was the 2025 annual summit. So as you mentioned, it was our annual convening during New York Climate Week, and we had more than 200 attendees, as was mentioned. Terrific panels, an amazing fireside chat at the beginning with Sanda Ojiambo and Ann Tracy. Setting the stage for the event, and also kind of the what's happening with companies here in the U.S. In the current environment. And I thought it was a really terrific conversation. So I thought that was definitely a highlight for the year. Of course, Amanda joining us as our executive director, I could not be more thrilled about that. And adding our two new board members, Josh and Kathy, as we mentioned. I'm also really proud that we've been able to work to continue to build out our pipeline, and we have a number of terrific folks for consideration for future board positions. However, again, we are always open to hearing from you all. If you have candidates who you think would be terrific to serve on our board of directors, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
And I will go last, and I completely agree before Amanda, that is, with everything that's been said before. And of course, Amanda is probably the most exciting development from 2025. The only thing I would add is that we have, over the years, been building our team, growing our teams to support our members. And this year, the amount of progress we've made in our financial maturity, in terms of our processes, in terms of getting to be far more gap compliant, and in terms of the remarkable work we've done in terms of collections that puts us in an even stronger position financially, is something that we can all be very proud of. And a big thanks to the team under Amanda's leadership.
Thank you all. And I will just add that joining the organization has been the highlight of my year, and just getting to know some of the participants. Had some really rich conversations with companies large and small about the challenges they're facing, how they've worked with the Global Compact, gotten value from the Global Compact, and are looking forward to getting more value, and how we can meet them where they are and continue to innovate and provide programming. I want to come back to the question, the person who clarified their question about products and services that help companies meet the commitments of the Global Compact. We do, as Gail touched on, have a number of different, we call them programs. Well, I'll use your language, products and services, which include accelerators in issues around in areas including like human rights related topics, climate related topics, where working on there's a strategy related accelerator. So there's lots of opportunities there. We also convene peer learning groups with companies who are interested in diving deep with their peers into particular issues. We're thinking about new ways of doing that in the coming year, but some of the topics include strategy issues, reporting issues, circularity, things that you're facing probably every day in your work. So absolutely, yes. We've gotten a few more questions I think I touched on the other question that was kind of related around which have been the most popular. Definitely climate and human rights topics, particularly in a year where regulation was changing and going through um, a lot of review by companies. Human rights and climate were top of the list in terms of where they engaged on which issues. Um, could you please share how companies can contribute to the UN Global Compact USA's climate initiatives, whether through collaboration, volunteering, or other forms of engagement? Um, well, that's a big question, but we'd love to hear from you. You're welcome to email the team. We have a programming team, an engagement team. You could certainly join one of our accelerators. You can certainly participate in one of our convenings. We're thinking now about 2026. So now's the time to reach out and ask us about when we're going to be running different events. We do show up at other organizations events where we have partnerships and where we know companies are going to be. And so we will often run side events in the margins of the high level political forum, which happens in the summer around the UN or the UN General Assembly. But we're also at places like GreenBiz. We're thinking about South by Southwest this year. So there's places where we're going to meet companies and talk with them about topics that they're interested in. So reach out if you would like to get engaged in the climate work for sure. Last question I see here is somebody thank you. Somebody who says, 10-year member of the UN Global Compact, how can you help me add more civil society members to the UN Global Compact in Los Angeles and nationally? Thank you for providing your email. I will reach out to you personally and understand more context about that. Civil society organizations are welcome to join. And we have several of them in our mix, so non companies in our mix. It's a question of submitting an application. It's reviewed by the team. Usually there's a touch point and a conversation, and that's how we get new joiners. So I'm happy to talk to you about that personally, and we'll reach out. Let me just make sure I look at the board members and see if they want to add anything to any of those questions, or if anybody else wants to add something last minute into the Q&A.
I was going to just add on the climate question. I know the question was specifically about how to volunteer and engage. I think I just wanted to note that the UNGC as a overall was active are active in all the COPs, particularly last COP, COP 30. And I have been following. I was not able to go to COP this year. Gail had some great presence there, but I definitely found the UNGC summaries of the COP 30 discussions very helpful. And I would encourage you to use that if you want to hear about what's going on that global negotiating level. I think it's very interesting to follow. And the UNGC did one of the best jobs of summarizing kind of what was coming out of COP 30 in this case.
Great, Anne. And if you happen to be there in person, there are events that UNGC hosts that you can participate in. Also, there's, of course, the peer organization, the United Nations FCCC for the Climate Convention, the group that puts that on. And they also have a number of different events and booths and so on if you're able to attend that in person.
Good.
Okay. I think we've addressed all of the open questions. And so I'm going to just say thank you to all of you for taking the time out of your busy Fridays before weekend to join us. And I wish you all a very happy holiday season. However, wherever you celebrate. And it's a pleasure to continue working with you. Looking forward to 2026. Thank you so much.